Hey everyone, Face here with you again. I've just gotten home from seeing Dark of the Moon for the second time. I still can't really verbalize my feelings about that movie. I want to say I like it, but God, and I am one of the biggest apologists you'll ever meet for Revenge of the Fallen. I know it's a terrible movie, but I gotta give it credit for one reason and one reason alone. It has arguably the single best action sequence in the entire franchise, and that is, of course, the scene in the forest of Optimus Prime just kicking wholesale ass. I just can't seem to formulate a real opinion about Dark of the Moon. I mean, there's some good ideas. There's some good action. I didn't want to go see it in 3D again, but unfortunately I didn't realize until I got to the theater that the showing I went to was in 3D, because I hate 3D, as I said in my last vlog. Just not a fan of it. Doesn't give me headaches or anything. I don't get the point. I mean, at least I went on Cheap Tuesday, so it didn't cost me anymore, but still, I get annoyed wearing those stupid glasses. This is coming from a guy who's worn glasses for 20 years, so it's kind of ironic, I suppose. But I just don't like it. But anyway, there's a few things about the Transformers movie franchise that have always kind of bugged me. Like, from the perspective of the Autobots, like how the hell are they losing this war? Someone explain that to me. Like, in the first movie, you could kind of understand it. It took 2 to 3 Autobots coordinated together to take out a single Decepticon, or Optimus Prime on his own to take down like one mid-level Decepticon, like Bone Crusher. In the first movie, he takes him out by himself, but it's a struggle, and he can't take down Megatron by himself. In the second movie, though, we're talking, Decepticons are just dropping like flies. They introduce all of these generic protoform Decepticons, and they're just getting cut down like nothing. Like, any single Autobot versus any single Decepticon is pretty much no contest. The Autobot's going to come out on top, so I kind of figured the only reason that they were losing was that the Decepticons had massive numerical superiority. But then Dark of the Moon comes along, and at some point one of the characters says that there are 200 Decepticons holed up in Chicago or something against 9 Autobots. Plus, like, Wheelie and his sidekick, who, aside from, their contribution, were basically ineffectual for most of the movie. The comedy sidekicks. But 9 Autobots and a handful of special forces managed to defeat the entire Decepticon army. We're talking like a 25-1 margin of Decepticons versus Autobots. And there's no way that a couple of dozen Marines and special forces are going to be able to fill that gap. So, how in the hell are the freaking Autobots losing this war? I mean, when Optimus Prime can single-handedly take on Megatron, Starscream, and that giant hulking helicopter who, in the second movie, and dominate all 3 of them. He could take on the entire Decepticon army by himself and win. And yet the Autobots are consistently portrayed as losing in this war. I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I know, I'm trying to ascribe logic to a Michael Bay movie. And, you're just not supposed to do that. It's like trying to ascribe logic to the Star Wars prequel trilogy. It's just going to make your brain hurt. But I just have this need to understand. I grew up with the Transformers. I love the Transformers. It's like my #1 fanboy, squee kind of franchise, more than anything else. And, like I said, I'm one of the biggest apologists for the second movie you'll ever meet. But I don't think I can really apologize for this one. You know, it's got decent action. It's got a decent story. You know, I mean, there were some good twists, but it's still just a mediocre action movie. And I feel bad. I really, really do. But, you know, whatever. It's what's done is done. The next movie will probably not be out for another 5 years, and it'll be either a reboot or a reimagining or a, you know, some completely new take on, even just like a traditional like Pixar style CG animated Transformers movie. You know, that's a little bit more cartoony, that's a little bit more lighthearted, because this movie gets pretty dark. You know, you're seeing people getting wiped out wholesale. I mean, the city of Chicago is essentially a total loss. I don't think it'd be possible to salvage that city without, you know, billions and billions and billions of dollars and 100 years. So, you know what? That's not why you come to my channel, you know, not to hear me bitch about movies. You come to hear me talk about model kits. And as I said in my last video, I finally got in the mail my Takara Tomy dual model kit Optimus Prime. Not quite sure if he comes with headhunting action, like his character in the movie. Yes, I am very much convinced that this incarnation of Optimus Prime is a psychopath, and I know I'm not alone in this. Just about every Decepticon he ever kills is by either complete dismemberment or decapitation. He's got like some sort of weird head collecting fetish, but you know, whatever. Again, you know, I'm getting back to the movies when you come here to see me talk about models. So, box art is very similar to Bumblebee's. The box itself is about twice as big. You know, it's got photoshopped image of the model with the window on the side with showing off the frame. I've actually opened up and removed all of the plastic runners from their individual bags, but there was originally, like Bumblebee, one sort of taped to the side of the bubble here so you could see a portion of it. You know, that showed off some of the pre-painting that the kit has. On the bottom side, or on the front bottom side, there's just a couple of photos of the kit with some Japanese legal text, and some action poses of Prime himself completed. So let's crack her open and see what we can see. First off, I'm going to start with the instructions, and actually something else that I was happy to see that I felt was missing from Bumblebee: a decal sheet. Yes, a decal sheet, not a decal. It looks like it's just it's got just some of his flames. So if you were to repaint him, which I may well do, at least you would be able to use the flame decals to replace his markings. And it also has one little Autobot symbol right there that goes in the center of his chest. It's hard to say the quality or how they would respond to a decal setting solution, but we'll see. Instruction manual is basically the same as Bumblebee's, just a big pull-out, fold-out. I think this one's about a 12-pager, while Bumblebee was a 10. Yeah, pretty big, pretty dense. Other side has more instructions and the same box art on the front, and some more photos of the completed model. Very, very, very dense looking instructions, so this is going to take some time. I'm starting to understand why some novice builders are taking up to 6 hours to assemble. I don't think it'll take me that long, probably closer to about 4, but nevertheless, I have to wait and see. First off, let's take a look at his skeleton frame. Like Bumblebee, it is predominantly pre-assembled. I've got some good posability to him, actually some really impressive posability in his shoulder. You can see like a whole big range of motion here. Got a nice bit of some actuators that don't really do anything, but they look cool. So it can has good forward and backwards rotation. It's got a little bit of upward clavicle type movement. Plus the shoulder itself rotates. The arm twist at the bicep has a single elbow joint, which is a surprise. And indeterminate as to whether there's a separate hinge joint in the wrist. I'll get back to you on that. I don't want to break it right out of the box. Hips, like Bumblebee again, got universal joints with a good swivel. Again, looks like he only has single knee joints as opposed to double, which again is kind of a surprise, but take what you can get. He's got some ankle movement. Looks like the feet parts just clamp on to his ankle like that. Looks like it'll have pretty good movement. Good wide range of ankle swing there. So yeah, the frame looks really outstanding. Lots of detail, lots of molded in components, lots of pipes and conduits and cables, and this would really respond well to some nice detail paintwork, like some dry brushing and some washing. First runner-up looks like most of the blue parts. I believe these are his hip armors. I think these might be part of his armors for his shoulders, or maybe on his back. I think these are the backs of his calves. The rest, hard to say. I think these might be his kneecap armors. Next up is some of the red parts. Gauntlets on the sides of his arms. These looks like his I guess you could call them sort of his abs. They're like below his chest, just above his waist. His chest windows, I believe there's actually glass or clear plastic inserts that snap into those. The rest of them, tough to say. Arm parts, I think, right here. Everything else is hard to identify. We got one runner of chrome parts. Pretty nicely chromed. If I'm going to repaint it, though, I probably will strip the chrome and redo it myself, because I've never really liked kit chrome right out of the box, unless it's a really high-end kit like a Tamiya kit, because they usually use like a kind of matte, or what do you call it, a satin chrome, as opposed to this bright, it's cheap looking. Not to mention, it doesn't look like they really took any attempt to work around the chrome with the sprue attachment points. So you're going to end up with like all the sprue scars left visible, which is never fun to deal with. We got one set of poly caps. Not the same set as with Bumblebee. It even says 1/35th scale Optimus Prime. Couple of ball joints, and the rest all look like just standard hinge bushing sleeves. Rubber tires, same as Bumblebee. The ones on his hips, I believe they fit into. They have these hubs that kind of split the tire, because it's kind of a neat design in his robot mode. The tires actually kind of split and shift, and it looks really neat, but it's hard to explain how it would work. Next up, we're getting into the mechanical parts. I believe these are mostly hands. These are all the fingers. This one does have articulated fingers, unlike Bumblebee, because I think at Bumblebee's scale it just would have been too hard. But Prime here being so much larger is much more able to have that. But here's like his palms. Looks like parts of his thumbs. Some other mechanical parts I can't quite identify. I think it's maybe part of his abdomen. Everything else is pretty tough to identify. Really nicely molded. These mechanical parts. they seem to have taken a hint from Bandai in their sprue layouts. So that, like, they don't have the full frame going around the edge. So like the edge of the side here has some molded detail to it, which is something that Bandai has been doing for quite a long time. So, you know, also the same with the Chrome Runner. So that way you can have like the smokestacks have like molded detail on all sides, but also are hollow in the center. So that's a really nice touch. You know, that's they're going above and beyond on, you know, one of their first releases. Next up, we got more mechanical parts. I think these are parts of his feet. These might be his toes. The rest I can't really say. But here's his fifth wheel for his truck mode, which I believe ends up on his butt. More mechanical parts. Again, a lot of stuff I don't recognize. I think these might be the primary halves of his feet. And the rest, I can't even guess. More mechanical parts, but now we're getting into a different color. These ones were more of a dark metallic gray, sort of a light gunmetal. These are more of just a straight up silver. Armor parts, it looks like for his hips, waist, armor panels on the backs of his hands. He has these very dynamically shaped armor panels on the backs of his hands, which you can see right there under my finger, which is a nice touch. You know, that they went ahead and molded everything like in multiple different colors to give him some color depth. Now this is getting into his weapons. These are the housings for his Energon swords, which have the option, I believe there's one way to attach them directly into the sockets in his wrists, or alternately you can mount them to the sides of his forearms. I prefer replacing the fists, because that's more the way that it was done in the original animated series. You'd always see, you know, Optimus or Ironhide or Jazz, I think a lot in particular, they'd all retract their hands and a weapon would pop out, or a grappling hook or some kind of thing. Like Prime, especially in the first, I think in the second episode of the original series, he retracts his hand and a glowing Energon axe pops out. Megatron does the same with his Energon flail. So, you know, retracting hands has always kind of been a signature feature of Transformers. Now we've got actually a third metallic color. This is an even lighter color. You can kind of see the difference. This is a lighter gray, and this is a darker silver, and then there's the third, even the sort of almost gunmetal color. A lot of these parts have some pre-painting done to them. There's some sort of metallic gold pieces here and here. And the rest of these I can't really identify. I think these might be parts of his ankles. He's got sort of, they look almost like they might have been wheel hubs inside of his ankles. And these are parts of his shoulders. Like he's got kind of these spiky protrusions that stick up on either side of his shoulders. Alright, now we're into the glass parts. The swords are molded in clear, but they're kind of a smoky orange, which is a nice touch. He's got his side windows for the doors, which kind of flank his chest, and the front windows, which have a molded windshield wiper on them. That's really cool, actually. That's going to be really hard to paint. Also his headlights, which kind of end up on his waist. More blue parts, mostly head from the looks of it. Predominantly, like the most importantly, is his face, which we all know Optimus loves his heads and faces. So he comes with two of them. One of which has the battle mask deployed, the other one has it retracted so you can see his mouth. Then there's like the part for the top of his head, parts for the sides of his head, with the antennae, and then the back, and some more additional bits and pieces here and there. So yeah, that looks really, really good. More metallic mechanical bits. Not really sure what any of these are. I think these might go on the backs of his thighs. or maybe on the backs of his knees. The rest maybe on the sides of his knees. I'm not really sure. I'm kind of trying to go from memory based on my own, my leader class Optimus toy that I've repainted to try to define and understand just what parts are what, what mechanical details are what. But it's kind of hard because I had the same trouble with Bumblebee because it's just such an odd robot mode. It's hard to explain or understand just what exactly you're looking at. But finally, we have one last blue runner. We got some armor panels for the insides of his legs, the doors, cab doors that flank his chest, some more parts for his feet, and the rest I can't really even begin to guess as to what it is. So that's the bulk of him. There are a few other odds and ends, as with Bumblebee, that were just separately bagged. Hang on a second as I set that down. They were just separately bagged and placed inside the box as individual parts, because most of them have some very delicate printing and pre-painting done on them. So I guess they wanted to keep these separate to protect them. Here we've got the armor panels that kind of stick off of his shoulders. There's two of them, one for each arm. Both have the same red flame deco painted on them. Now we've got another flaming blue part that there's two of them. I think these might be on his waist. He's got this blue armor part that, depending on what picture you're looking at, sometimes has a flame deco on it, sometimes doesn't. So if that's not the part I think it is, then that would probably be it here. If it doesn't have a deco, then this would be the part that I'm talking about. Otherwise it would be that one, and then I wouldn't know what this is. And then finally, his outside ankles have the what do you call it? The wheel arches for his front wheels, which again have a flame deco printed on them with some nice airbrushing that surprisingly though is yellow and not gold, because I thought all of his yellow, or I thought all of his flames had kind of a goldish backing to them rather than yellow. So I don't know, I'd have to take a closer look, but my Optimus figure, who I have here, yeah, see, like the backing on the flames is more of a copper gold than a yellow. So, according though to some of the build-ups that I've seen, he builds up very much similar in height to my leader class toy here. So it'll be really nice to have the two of them side by side to show off just how similar and how different they are from each other. And just from the pictures that I've seen of other people who've done the same, who've done build-ups of the model and posted a photo alongside the toy, I gotta commend Hasbro and Takara for this guy. This thing is staggeringly incredible in detail and accuracy. I mean, he's a little stockier, he's a little thicker, mostly in the chest because he's got the battery box and the speakers inside. But the detail and accuracy, otherwise, the head sculpt, the proportions of his arms, the details on his legs and torso and everywhere are just top notch. Like, I'm stunned that they were able to make a toy that looks this good. I mean, minus all my custom paint job and the wrist-mounted sword, that actually transforms. I mean, that's freaking amazing to me. Hats off to you. Your engineers are incredible. So I'm just hoping that the completed kit looks as good, and that if I do the same kind of job to it as I did to him, and paint him up and give him a good bit of weathering. So yeah, that's my look at Optimus Prime from Takara Tomy. They're the first of their so far two releases in their dual model kit series. I'm really anxious to get started on them. I don't think I'm going to be able to, though, for another day or so, because I'm working all day tomorrow, and I'm certainly not going to have time to do any work on them tonight. But hopefully I'll be able to get started on them quickly enough, and maybe get some pictures posted up on eScale Models and on my blog before the end of this week. I've got my camera handy, so I will be taking lots of photos of the build-up, and we'll see how it goes from there. So, again, thank you everybody out there for watching, and happy modeling.